Okay, thank you everyone for coming. At least we have 50 people now. We have to wait a little bit more because people is going to arrive. But anyway, Patricia, can you put your name there or your Instagram account also? Kevin, hi Kevin, how are you? Nice to see you. If you can put your name, your personal name or your Instagram account, it would be amazing for others to see you also, okay? Okay, we have 26 people without camera. If you want to share your camera, we can see you. That can be amazing. If not, everything is okay. Okay? And if you can put your name, Instagram account, that would be amazing also. Hi, Diane, how are you? Nice to meet you. Amazing, amazing to see you all here. We are so happy that you accept our invitation, last minute invitation. It was a crazy idea because we just, I was just doing this Google Analytics training, and I was just studying our analytics, in our web page, and I was just comparing like different moments of our web page, and I realized somehow that the situation was like different from the different online exhibitions. And I say, Laura, I think cameraless people, they are not really like well connected between them, that's why we realized. And then we start seeing all the interactions that you had on Instagram, and you were not really like retweeting or exchanging people from others because you don't really know who you are. And in the end, we were like in the middle, and we have 170 emails of people, and we say, okay, we have here an amazing amount of people doing this thing, crazy things all over the world. And we need to find a way to mix them together, and to show more works, because just 9 is, we realize is not enough. We have to show much more of them, but we don't have space in our Instagram, and we don't want to have this kind of really big online exhibitions that you are just putting people there for them to share you, and to have it more public. We don't care about the people following us on Instagram, but we really want to show more of your work. And that's why we decided to create this special meeting. It's our first time on these kind of situations. You have to be patient. And we have people from all over the world, from Australia to Argentina, New Zealand, sorry, Grant, my fault. 5 of the 4 continents. You have to be patient, but I think it's going to be great. I mean, that's how this crazy situation started, and it was just a week ago. I just say, Laura, we have to find a solution, and she said, okay, why we're not making a big meeting, and I say, okay, why not? And we are here. Okay, thank you so much for joining this crazy idea. I think it's going to be great. The objective is like to start creating a community between you, because what we have learned from the last festival is that the most important of this kind of situation is being able to share with others, because when you are in your dark room or when you are working alone, maybe you are in a small town and you don't know other people doing the same like you, Being a Britney Spears fan is easy because everyone is Britney Spears fans, you can have friends who loves Britney Spears. But in experimental photography or cameraless photography is not so easy, We have to break barriers and borders, and we have to try to connect with people all over the world to have these moments to share things, okay? In the festival, we realized that we need the world of photography, experimental photography needs a point during the year just to meet each other. Obviously, the situation is not good at this point to meet each other physically and to have this great hug that we deserve, but at least we have to keep going virtually, you know, and this I think is a good situation. Enjoy the situation, try to learn from others, listen to them, to learn, follow each other on Instagram also to know what they are doing, and this can be a great opportunity for us to make something, to get closer. Okay, if you want to create, if you have any proposal of creating any kind of community, like, I don't know, I mean, if you want to create a group, for example, like a chat group to debate, and someone wants to create it for share between you, you can create it. We have not thinking doing something else. We are just working with the festival in general. But I think we have a lot of people here, and it can be a good opportunity for you to keep working, because when you have a problem or when you are looking for inspiration, it's great if you can have the direct contact of someone. Okay, this was just a small presentation. My name is Pablo. I'm the co-director of the Experimental Photo Festival. Here we have also from the festival Laura, that is also the co-director. She's doing all the technical things today and also controlling the chat. And we have also Gal, Tony, and Astrid here helping us with different things. You're going to meet them or here or during the festival. Okay, what I wanted to show you, this is the, okay, it might be flipped like this, but anyway, this is a catalog from the festival of the last year. This is a compendium of all the artists that came the last year. It's called Manifiesto because it was the first moment that we needed really to say, like, how is the base of this experimental community? What are the general idea that everyone is sharing? Just like to have like a common point of starting. Patrice was here, for example, that Patrice is now in the group and he's going to be moderating one group. And also I think we had someone else that came the last year. But anyway, you can buy, if you want, the catalog in the webpage. I have at my home like 60 around for them, because you can meet amazing artists and also the exhibitions and everything. Okay, it was just a small moment of publicity. Okay. Okay, I think everyone is here. We have 64 people. That's amazing. We have Guillermo here. Hi, Guillermo. Nice to see that you are here also with us. Okay. How do you feel to start doing a presentation about the online exhibition, Mark?
Shall I introduce it?
Problem somewhere.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. If you want, just present yourself and explain
Sure.
The idea of the exhibition.
Pablo and Laura were kind enough to ask me to get involved and create a cameraless online exhibition. So we had a number of entries, quite a few, 170 I think came in, which was really a lot. And we noticed the quality was really, really good. So I mean, my initial shortlist was, I think, about 70 people to try and get down to just 9, which is really difficult. So I thought this would be another way that we could show more work and also meet other people doing similar things. My involvement is just with the creation at the moment. I mean, I'm also a photographer stroke artist who does, you know, like cameraless stuff as well as stuff with a camera. So I'm really pleased to be here and just to make some connections.
Thank you so much, Mark. We are going to see you in X21 or don't?
Yep.
This is a pressure question, you know?
Yeah.
Hope everything is going better and we can have you here with us. George, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Great.
I'm ready. My name is George Roast and I'm a cameraless photographer. I'm really pleased to be here because I think that you know, what Pablo was touching on there about there being a lack of community is sort of quite real in our fields. I can certainly speak from. It was making me think of when I first started making camerograms. I was working in a communal darkroom, and because I was contaminating the chemistry, I had to have like a room at the back of the darkroom that I had to lock myself in to use with a light, so I didn't damage everybody else's work. And it was such a sort of isolating experience to be in there. I've been there for 8 hours, the whole day, just smelling the chemistry and making the images. And I think that's something that I can directly relate to in a physical form as well, that lack of a community. But yeah, so camerograms is really my sort of special field, I would say, is where I'm most interested. I also enjoy to look into sort of expired paper and the properties of paper itself. I'm very, very fascinated with the actual physical properties of photography, how its component parts can be used to make images rather than just the images themselves. I think of photography a bit like somebody who takes a watch apart in order to see all of the little bits and all of the little cogs and needles and hands, and then putting it back together to see how the thing operates. And yeah, I'm very pleased to be here. I think this is going to be good. I'm looking forward to having some good discussions and meeting some new people. And thank you, XP, for hosting this. I think this is going to be a great thing.
Thank you so much, George. And thank you so much, everyone, for coming. George is going to be, during the festival, doing 2 workshops on chemigrams. I think at the end of the month, we are going to present the program in our webpage, and we are going to start selling the workshops, and you are going to be able to sign up for the one that you want. At that point, you are going to be able to see what George is going to do. You can join us also if you want, come to the festival and also join George's workshop. That is going to be amazing. Okay, happy that everyone is here. We are going to start with Grant showing images. Grant, please put your audio in, and I'm going to try to find your image. Grant, are you there?
I am, yeah.
Great.
So
can you explain us a little bit about your image?
So good morning, everyone from New Zealand. It's Sunday morning at about 6:10 a.m. Sunday morning. So hello from the future.
This is always happening in New Year Eves, that you're the first one.
Yeah, we know the football results first. So I made this work during lockdown, and the work is kind of about like separation and connection. During lockdown, of course, being aware how we were so separated, but still trying to connect in every way we could. So I sort of chose abstract, I guess, like hard edge, abstract art as a style, kind of like Ellsworth Kelly, because of that maybe aloofness. But I wanted to create something a little more, connected. So I went into the darkroom with pieces of paper and just basically put pieces of paper on the photo paper, turned the light on and off, moved the paper around, had the paper two sheets of paper, disconnected and then connected, just to try and show those feelings that I was experiencing during during lockdown. So that's where that sort of interconnection comes from. So I made a whole series of these with these feelings of mine. So like the hard edge lines, like there's a monolithic disconnect, or there's like a sense of disconnection, but there's also a sense of connection. Ask me another question. I'm running out of things to say.
Have you
Are
had
you working with
much of an
cameraless
opportunity?
photography always, or you're also doing other kind of photography?
Sorry, say again, sorry?
If you do just cameraless photography, or you are doing different kind of photography?
Oh yeah, I just love every kind of photography. I'm just so totally in love with photography. So I love to do it all. But I guess the commonality in my work is the hand. I love showing the hand, the traces of the hand. So, you know, hand painting, scratching on the photo, obviously making the print in the darkroom, chemigrams, everything. But particularly where the hand is involved. Yeah.
Great. I think it's an amazing image. Someone asked, can you explain us how is the future? Any clue about it?
Yeah,
It's dark.
It's a beautiful day. It's sunny. There are only a few clouds, and everything is going to be okay.
That's it. That's amazing. Good news for everyone. Okay, thank you so much, Grant. Can we have Louise Coates from the UK also explaining this amazing picture? I'm really surprised with this image. You know, I really want her to explain us how was she doing this.
Hello everyone, my name's Louise. I'm currently based in Brighton in the UK. So this was actually one of my first experiments using the technique that I developed during the final major project at university. It was made in sort of the same way that you would make a test strip in the darkroom. So by exposing the paper to light at different lengths of time. So I first made this stencil, and then I brought that stencil into the darkroom and I put it on top of the light sensitive paper underneath the enlarger. So most of the paper was blocked from light, but then I'd sort of lift different sections of the stencil up to expose the paper underneath to these to light at these different sort of intervals of time. So yeah, the darker the greys, the more time the light was allowed to sit on the paper, and the lighter the greys, the less time. And with this, with this image and with my other images, I was trying to explore kind of the basic elements of photography, or sort of what I consider to be the fundamental nature of the medium, and that is light and time, and I suppose the ability to, or the desire to capture that onto a surface. This is an ongoing project,
Nice.
but I've only recently graduated and I haven't really had much chance to go back into the darkroom. So hopefully once, you know, the pandemic is over and lockdown is over, I can go back in and
Hope so. Also, you have to keep working. It's amazing. I mean, for me, it was really, really nice because it's an amazing composition, you know.
Something.
George?
I said I think there's something just quite beautiful in this, and it shows something that's an intermediary stage for most of the printing process. You know, most people will make a test strip, and I don't know how everyone else is, but I always keep my test strips. I've got drawers full of them, just full of bits that never worked and never anything. And then this is like just drawing attention to the creative possibilities of that moment that's normally just such a practical thing. I just think that's quite a sort of conceptually poignant idea.
Great, it's true. Okay, great. Luis, do you have any other idea that you want to share?
No, just that I think is amazing, and I think it's really nice to meet so many other people that are sort of working in with the same ideas and with the same techniques. So yeah.
Great. Thank you so much for being here and for sending your images, and hope you can go back to the darkroom soon.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Judith. Judith, ¿cómo estás, Judith? ¿Todo bien?
Thank you. Hello everybody. Thanks Pablo and Laura for the possibility to be here. I'm glad to share with this meeting with artists from different parts of the world. I'm Judith Lago. I'm a visual artist, graphic designer, and photographer from Argentina. In this particular work, called The Fragmentation of the Self, I talk about the bad influence or the misuse of social media, especially in teenagers, people, especially in teenagers. The idea is looking for the acceptance from the others by receiving likes. Could be made lead to exaggerate narcissism, loneliness, and isolation. To create this image, I use the fragmentation, the repetition of myself, and choose the black and red colors to symbolize the dangers and the violence to be loved in ourselves or individuality. In this artwork, in this series, I use the technique called scan art. About the construction of the series, first I scan my face in a dark room, covered with a black coat to avoid lights from outside, to invite my image. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay, it's okay. Don't worry.
Then when I scan all the images, I made a collage digital in Photoshop. Since the scanner has only focus when you touch the surface, it's create an original image. And besides, the scan produces a distortion because it's not made for the scan tridimensional object, only made flat scan flat documents. And I use this technique to emphasize the concept of the bad use of social media and the bad consequences it has on people's lives. I think as an artist, I need to give a message in this type of topics. Thanks for everything, for listening. I'm so nervous, but thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Judith. How long have you been doing photography?
Oh, more 10 years, 14 years. I work with topics related gender, body, stereotype, this type of topics.
Nice.
Most of the time I mix the languages because I'm a graphic designer and I try to experiment the different languages and disciplines.
Great, amazing. We are going to follow your work on Instagram, okay? Hope you have a lot of new followers. Okay, Felicita, are you ready from Italy to explain us these amazing images of love?
Okay, I am Felicita, I am from Italy, and I lately, since like the last 3 years, I've been working in light painting with Polaroids and instant photography in general. I did something with instant photography in the past using a large format Polaroid that now is out of production. But there were a few years ago this Fujifilm that is very nice, and this one went out of production a few years ago. So I went and bought like 6 packs of it, and I spent a lot of money without even knowing what I was going to do with it, because I don't have a camera for this film. So I said, okay, I buy it now, I put it in the fridge, and I will see when the inspiration comes. And the inspiration actually came in from the lockdown, of course, because I had time. And I bought a Polaroid bag that mounts that kind of film that has a manual shutter. So I said, okay, I am ready to do cameraless. Then I borrowed the idea from what I was doing in light painting. I work a lot with painted silhouettes on transparent surfaces. So I started doing these transparencies with the silhouettes. And then I was experimenting with putting some things, different things on to see how it looked like. And the first thing that I realized was that it was very difficult because the film is very, very sensitive to the light. So the most difficult part was to find the right light source. I use a flashlight that has very, very low power, and I had to put a ND1000 filter in front of it in order to be able to not burn out the paper.
Yes.
So in this picture here, I did the silhouette of the 2 people, and then I attached some, you can see it here, basically.
Oh, nice.
I attached adhesive plastic, cut it very small, so I did I had to attach it with the adhesive because otherwise it would move in the dark when I was pulling off the shutter. And yeah, so it's very simple, and besides the difficulty of the source of light, it's very easy once you have the right instruments. And I find it nice because you get a positive and not a negative. I used to do some cameraless when I worked in a dark room many years ago, and I couldn't really feel it because it was negative with respect to what I was putting on paper. So for me, in this way, it's more immediate, it's more...
Yes, but I have 2 questions. The first one is, this is Polaroid 1015? No.
No, it's the same format of the 4x5 Polaroid.
But the image that you are showing is bigger.
No, this is 4x5 inches, no?
Okay.
I think that the Polaroid was called, the one that I used in the past was like 669 or something like that. I don't remember, it's a long time ago. But anyway, they are done with this film that now is Fuji.
Yes.
And I have only 1 pack left, and so I don't know. I'm waiting for a really cool idea to finish the pack because...
Yes. And I have another question. Normally, cameraless photography doesn't have, it's like unique, because you can do more copies. In this case, you can do more copies. That's amazing. You know, it's different from
because
the rest
because I was able to attach it here, and so I can do a copy. In theory,
That's different. Great. Also, if you want to know, you can find Felicita in Barcelona during the festival. She was the last year with us, and she's going to be next year doing workshops on light painting in Polaroid. It's going to be amazing.
Yes.
Felicita?
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
For sure. It's amazing. We are going to have the program in a couple of weeks, and you can see her there. Okay, thank you so much. I think it was really, really clear for everyone. It's amazing. I'm really in love with your technique, you know?
Thank you, Patrice.
Do we have Sophia Sherwood somewhere to explain this amazing image? I'm really surprised about this. If you can explain it, it would be amazing.
Yeah, sure. I just wanted to say thank you for having this in English, because mi español es muy poco. So it's really good that I'm able to chat in English. Yeah, this is a phytogram of some bubble wrap. So I was on I think it was like a workshop with the London Alternative Photography Collective. Over the summer, yeah, and they had Carol showing the phytogram technique, and since then I haven't been able to stop doing it. So yeah, this was one of my first one. It's really great. I love it. Yeah. Yes, it's a good addiction, definitely. Yeah, so I was just kind of looking. The thing was that I was doing a lot of leaves, and obviously that this process is really good for that. But I was looking to sort of experiment with other things. So I started looking around my house for things that were see-through, because you kind of have to have that transparency to get the textures, I think. And so yeah, I just decided to do this this bubble wrap, and yeah, it's one of my favorites, I think, that I've made so far. I really like it. I don't know what else to say about it, really.
I'm very drawn to the way that it's bubble wrap is such a textural object. You can't give someone a piece of bubble wrap without them wanting to just push all the bubbles in and pop them, and this kind of takes that into the 2D frame and quite recontextualizes it into just a play with light. I sort of don't get the urge to pop it, which I think is something that's interesting.
I have the feeling that they were like this, I had like this image, more related with teeth than with bubbles,
Yeah, there's this sort of strange, like they're almost like molars or something like that. Yeah, yes. I get it. Yeah.
Okay, nice. Hope do you do other kind of photography, or mainly cameraless?
I've definitely become more of a cameraless photographer. I did an MA, which I graduated in last year, and I've really sort of moved away from taking photographs. I've also sort of worked with like collage in photography as well. So I do still take photographs. It's just that it's more rare for me now. I'm very much more into using light sensitive materials in different ways. So yeah.
Nice to meet you, Sophie.
You too. You. And everybody else.
Yes, I think we have 65 people now, this is crazy. That means that 68, that means that this was a good idea,
Yeah, actually I was going to mention that I am going to have a photography get together on Tuesday evening in the UK, but everybody is welcome. So I'll share the link with you at the end, maybe in the chat, something like that.
Or you can put it now in the chat, because people is just going to leave or something. You can just put it wherever you want.
Oh, that's true. Okay, I will. Yeah, I'll do that now. Thank you.
And if you have any publication on Instagram that we can share, also you can send it to us, and we are going to try to share it if you have time. Okay.
Brilliant. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Pablo.
Thank you so much, Sophie. Do we have Andrea Españolo from Argentina here to explain this amazing image? Andrea. Laura, do we have Andrea? She was here.
Hello? Did you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Andrea.
Okay.
How are you?
Okay.
Oh, we can.
Great.
Yes.
Amazing.
It's nice to share with all of you. I am an advertiser and a fine art photographer. I like to experiment with all kind of type of photography, and cameraless is quite new for me. This photogram I create because I was inspired in isolation. For me, the photographic aesthetics are always designed to enrich and the idea in the image. And I look the content and the shape to be complementary. So for me, the technique is important, very, because it allows me to fly my imagination and to powerful the idea. And in this case, I try to refuge in my garden, because it was the only space allowed, natural space, to have closer to life. So I try to reproduce fragments of paradise. It was paradise for me. It was my sensations, and well, I want to touch, and I try to resort the most simple, the basic and essential to nature, and I try to immortalize it on paper. So for me, it was very important to use cameraless in that moment. With all the things I have close to me, leaves, bright branches, the sunlight. So I made a photogram with the cyanotype, and then I scan the print, and then I digital intervene this. I tried in Photoshop, and I tried to rescue. I don't know is the word rescue, but I tried to look for the real one amazing scale, tonal scale.
Yes.
I was looking for the color that suits me in that moment.
Great. Yes, the colors are amazing. Okay, but the base is cyanotype.
Yes, it's cyanotype, and then I work in Photoshop.
Ah, great. Because I was surprised because of the color, but also about this like texture, like if it was like spray, you know?
Yes, because it depends.
What's the name of this?
It depends of you handle the light and the sensitive the chemograms.
Yes.
Depending of the textures of the paper, or in this case it's paper, but it depends on that.
Okay, great. George or Mark, do you have any question for Andrea? If not, we're just going to go for the next one. We have.
I had a question about the orange, but I think that one was answered. So that was
good one. Yes, I was really surprised about the orange. You know.
Yes, when I use the tool curves in Photoshop, I was making, I don't know what to say in English, but I was handling by eyes. I was looking for this color.
Yes. It's amazing. Okay, thank you so much, Andrea.
Thank you.
Let's see what Heather has to explain about this image, more abstract and geometrical.
Yes. Hi, Pablo. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Heather. Nice to meet you.
Tuning in. Sorry.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for having me. It's really good to be here. I really appreciate the opportunity. So what you're looking at here is an 8x10 lumen print, and it's one of a series that I have that I call Push and Pull. And the series is actually really personal to me, so I feel a little bit vulnerable talking about it. But it explores the duality of decision making for me. So I struggle with the idea of like following my heart and kind of acting out of spontaneity versus making decisions in more logical and controlled ways. So the process of creating this lumen print and the other ones in the series kind of mimics that confusion for me of the decision-making process, being half very planned out and half really spontaneous. So I've been working in the darkroom for more than half of my life, and through either mistakes or watching my students work, I've discovered that photo paper can be exposed even when it's upside down. So by taking that idea, I've discovered that I can place objects on both sides of the photo paper during its exposure, which is how this image was created. So it kind of gives it this look of a multiple exposure, even though it's a single exposure. So one side of the photo paper is very methodically composed with a geometric pattern. I've cut out pieces of metal and placed them in geometric patterns. And then the other side of the photo paper is really spontaneously composed, where I've taken like plants. This specific image has rose petals in it, and I've just kind of like thrown them down at random and leave it outside to create an exposure with the sun. And when it's finished, you end up with a final image that looks like this. So you kind of get this combination of the push and pull of the decision making, where part of it is really geometric and planned and part of it is really spontaneous. So I don't really know what the image will turn out looking like when all is said and done, but I don't know. I guess that's all I have.
Can you explain again, what's this idea of the both sides? I didn't get it, you know?
Yeah, it's okay. So photo paper, it has a shiny side to it, which is the side that's sensitive to light. But if you were to put that paper upside down on accident, like in an enlarger in the darkroom, you can still create an image. The light shines through and it will still expose the shiny side, even though the paper is upside down. So by knowing that the light can pass through the paper, I've experimented with putting objects on that side instead. So if I have objects on both sides of the paper and lay it out in the sun, both images shine through on the lumen print.
Okay, that's why how we can see this black part and also the mixed parts in the middle of them.
Yeah. So it appears that it would be like a masked multiple exposure, but really it's a single one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. This is good to know. We are learning things every day, you know?
Yeah, you just got to be experimental, right?
Yes, that's the idea.
Yeah.
And that's why we are so happy, because we are every day, we are learning new things and we are sharing. And in the end, we are learning that photography is not just taking photos with your mobile, you know?
Yeah,
crazy because
exactly.
The technique has no end, you know?
Yep, that's very true.
Amazing. We are so happy, Heather, to meet you, and also that you share this new technique with us.
I know. I've never shared this technique with anyone. You 65 people know my secret now, so.
Okay.
Special treat.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We are going to hear Bridget from the US also. She's going to explain these images that I'm also in love with this one. I choose it for today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for hosting this. This is really amazing to hear so many people talking about things that I hear and go, me too. Okay, yes. So like George, I began making chemograms in a community darkroom. I was running a space in Asheville, North Carolina. And I had a student who was interested in chemograms, so I can kind of credit her with getting me started on this journey. As soon as we started making them, it just really clicked for me because like Grant had said about you looking for the traces of the hand, this is what when I started studying photography, I just felt like this was missing for me. Like I was always the student who wanted to be in the darkroom playing with more things rather than being out there with my camera. So when I started making chemograms about almost 6 years ago now, it just that mark of the hand was there, it was present, and I've always been interested in making unique. Like I was never really into the idea of making a series of something. I like objects, so I started making chemograms, and it began with kind of instinctual gestures, but I've evolved into actually using words a whole lot, so that I'm trying to abstract the words and embed them into the piece. So I create, I decide on a word, and I use stencils. So I spray a resist through the stencil, and then I cut up the piece, and I'm actually sewing it. So this is it's a pretty big piece, but I send it through my sewing machine. And I love the idea of using thread along with silver gelatin paper, just because silver gelatin paper used to be this technology that was how we made photos, but now that we have digital, a silver gelatin print is handmade and precious, and yes. And sewing machines are the same way. That used to be very like technological, but now when you have something hand sewn, oh, so it's these two processes coming together for me. And you know, the evolution of using words now, it just, you know, we're in the US, we're just having such a hard time having conversations and having words be understood, and then we have words that we feel are very black and white in meaning, and they're not. And so I'm getting into the idea of taking a word but abstracting it to talk about that difficulty of communication and using language and having a shared understanding.
Great.
Yeah.
And also I think the format is amazing. I mean, you have this sculptural way of thinking this image, you know, because in the end it's like a sculpture. And also you have this double pace with manually processing things, you know. Mm-hmm. You create it with stencils, then you cut it, then you mix them again, right. Then you prepare it like a sculpture. I think there are no other better example of what sculpture in photography is, you know.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, because this piece is nailed directly into the wall, yes. Which, you know, if my students ever put a hole in a photo, I go, no, but this, I'm trying to think of the paper like a sculptural material, so there are nails through it, and then the piece comes off the wall.
Yes, that makes it more vulnerable for the images, you know, that this is the first and the last day of his life. But there
is a question from the chat. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's okay.
There is a question. Diana asked, what size is this piece?
This is almost 5 feet long at the bottom. Yeah, longest.
Okay.
5 feet. Sorry, I don't know in centimeters.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Bridget. Let's hear Lindsey Mercer from the UK. We need to try to go fast because we have 9 minutes, okay? And then we can just have more time debating everything. Are you here with us, Hilde?
Yes, I am. Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, thank you.
The bird was dead?
Yes, it was. I'm very fond of birds, and I've asked my neighbors if they find a dead bird, please give it to me. So some of my neighbors came with this bird. It's a lumen print, and I put the bird on top of the paper, and I exposed it for 72 hours.
Wow.
3 days.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I did it for so many hours because it was in September, October. So it's I live up in Norway, so it's getting darker, and it was not sunny, and so I needed a lot of exposure. And I really like to work with lumen prints because I love working with color. I used to work only with black and white photography, digital, but now I am more and more interested in colors and more bright pictures.
Yes.
So.
And the rest of the things, they were the feathers of the white parts.
No, actually, they are stones.
Okay.
Small stones.
Okay.
That I, just put on the paper for. I think I put. You can see there are stones on top of the bird.
Yes, that's what I thought, that they were feathers or something.
Yes, okay. I understand, but that was just to press the bird on top, close to the print.
Okay.
I just put some stones around.
Okay. It's nice.
And what I really like about lumen prints is that you never know what you get. How will it look like? How will the colors be? And I'm also quite new to this process. I started last year, but I haven't done a lot. So it's just this autumn that I've started.
Great. And also you have to wait for 3 days, to see the picture. It's not like Polaroid, that is everything working fast, no?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. We are really surprised into this bird. It's sad, that he's dead, but anyway, he was already dead, you didn't kill it for the image.
I did not kill it. Thank you for having me, and thank you for this wonderful opportunity.
Thank you so much for explaining your image. Do we have Pilar Pedraza from Peru? Hola Pilar, ¿qué tal?
Hola. Hello everyone. Thanks, and happy to share this meeting with all of you. I present this project based in aquagramas in Spanish. It's a technique that I try in an experimental way. I want at this time talk about the water and this important and wonderful element that keep us alive, and how meaningful it is to have this resource at the reaches of our hands for all the people. The importance of the water in our lives. In our country, a lot of people doesn't have the water of the reach of her hands. That technique consists on pouring the water with a jar, pouring the water all over the sensitive paper, and at the same time I threw it a flash, a light of the flash that shoot of the flash is capture the moment of the pouring water over the paper. I have a lot of experiments, and I put with this image some photograms with from the newspaper, titulars of the newspaper who talks about the reach of the Peruvian riquezas, and we don't, as people, we always not see that that reach. I don't speak so good English.
No, but it's okay.
Don't worry. Yeah, it's
so
aquagrams. It's a technique that I made thinking how to talk about the water.
Yes.
I need to talk about the water, and I try to put the water over the paper and shoot a flash that captured that moment. And the forms that the image bring us, I feel that are incredible.
Yes, they are amazing. Do you put any object in the water?
No. I try this technique with child that lives around Lima. Bueno, child that children that didn't have this water, and we threw it only water, as small quantity
amount. Yes.
Yeah, and the water took one with each other and make the explosion over the paper. And the flash, I put in some distance to not to overexposed ni underexposed, to be perfect.
Yes.
I'm sorry, my Spanglish, please.
No, it's okay. It was perfect.
Yeah.
Any problem? We really understand what you did.
I call this technique aquagram, like aquagram.
Yes.
See, it's a secret too.
Thank you so much for sharing it with us. Okay,
Thank
we
you.
are going to see now Lindsey image. Let me show it. Oh, something happened. Okay, 1 second. Is Lindsey here? We just lost the order.
Okay, no worries.
No, because we didn't have it prepared. You know, we just prepared it at the end. It was crazy, but we were just working in background to solve it. You know, sorry about it.
I'm not going anywhere. It's fine.
Oh, sorry.
So this is a lumen print that I did in lockdown. I've got 2 young children, aged 2 and 6, and usually work full time as a photography teacher. So finding time for kind of headspace for creative ideas in lockdown was quite difficult, to say the least. So usually I work with kind of a lot of photograms in the darkroom, but also a lot of collage recently, a lot of feminist and political collage. So I was looking for techniques really that in lockdown that I could do quite quickly, because with my children it was constantly trying to juggle, but I needed an outlet, you know, I needed my therapy, I needed to keep doing my artwork. So I dug out some paper that I bought at an antiques fair absolutely years ago, and I tried it in the darkroom. It's a tiny little kind of packet of Ilford vintage paper in a yellow packet, and you know, maybe like 3 inches by 3 inches, like contact paper. And I tried it for chemigrams, nothing happened. I tried it for photograms, nothing happened. I thought, well, it's old, it's gone, nothing's gonna work. And then in lockdown I just thought, hey, I might as well stick it outside and see what works. And I couldn't believe it. I literally couldn't believe it, that it went this kind of really bright pink, and I got orange colors as well. So I was just absolutely amazed that it worked. So I did a series of experiments. We kind of got obsessed with nature in lockdown. We live in the countryside, and we got really interested in spring and the birds in our garden, and I had these feathers. So I just started experimenting, and there's a series on my Instagram page, and I tried using lemon and salt, and this one I actually sprayed the feather with water before I actually put it on the paper and exposed it. to the sun, and it was super sunny where we were. So that seemed to make a big difference to the exposure and the colour, the contrast, you know, with the bright sun really worked. So I was super happy with them.
Yes, and the colors are amazing, you know.
Yeah, I've done so many lumen prints in my time as a photographer, as a teacher, as an artist, and they've all just been pale, kind of washed out pink, which I really like. It's quite ethereal. But I've never had anything like this, and I have had success with chemigrams, with vintage photo paper before, but never with lumen prints. So I was absolutely thrilled that these little bits of vintage paper actually produced something that I could keep, which was great.
Okay, the color is original. You didn't edit or anything. This is
It's got a tiny bit of contrast, and that's it. It's got the border that I put on it was actually, you know, when you have like a board game and you push the cardboard out of the stencil templates, like on Monopoly or something like that. And I laid those over, so that's what's given the kind of round edges. And you can see where the light has started to leak in on the bottom, where it hasn't had as much exposure. It's gone that kind of yellowy orange colour, which was quite nice as well. So yeah, very, very unsurprising, but happy accident.
This is amazing. Hope you can keep finding the what was a good thing here to keep doing it, you know.
Yeah,
that might be the word.
I just wish that I could find more paper exactly the same, you know, leave one off. It's and I've put the original in a sketchbook to try and preserve it, but obviously took a photograph of it as well in case it ever completely disappears.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The colors are amazing. You know, we're crazy about these colors. We're going to go now with Patrice. We're going to share your image in a moment. Okay, if you're getting ready to talk, we are also ready for showing your image.
Okay, yeah, I'm Patrice. I'm like from Berlin in Germany, and to cameraless photography, I have to be honest, I'm relatively new. Actually, I just started experimenting it with this year. Originally, even at the Experimental Photo Festival, I participated in a workshop. It was by the E5 process guys from London. They had a darkroom party, and we played more with photograms around. But it left quite a big impression. And then, as it was, we all got, I think, very inspired for doing more things or experimenting through the Corona stuff. So, of course, also happened to me. And I have my own darkroom in the basement, and I have a huge bunch of photo paper. And I just thought I used the time just to play around and experiment a little bit. So I did some kind of research to find more inspirations, to find more experimental things that are a little bit more abstract than like the photograms itself. And I stumbled over the technique of luminograms. And this kind of catch my attention, and I really wanted to try to imitate that. So I went to the darkroom, and then I had first some very kind of, it didn't work out as I wanted, because with the luminograms, you basically really just work with the light and the photosensitive paper. So for me, there was just nothing. It was either just blur, black, white. I couldn't really see any structures. It was not at all as what I have seen on Instagram. So I thought, okay, there needs to be something. It can't be that it is just done with the light itself. There are any objects somehow involved. I don't know. Yeah. So I started playing around, and wanted to have something between like a luminogram and a photogram, because in the photogram it was for me just mostly too clear, black and white. I wanted to have many different tones and shades of the light itself, and also to see how it goes. So I started here very simple, actually. I just had some lens filters for the objectives. So these are different kind of filters, and a small flashlight. So what I did, somehow I did not place the object itself on the photo paper directly. I left a little bit distance in between, so that it is not really kind of touching the surface, and I used different angles and positions from where I started blinking with the flashlight.
Yes.
So just to see. And yeah, the funny thing is, this was almost one of the very first experiments that I tried with this technique. And when I developed it, I was just basically amazed what came out, because it was so structured, and like what I directly saw and what was amazing when others saw it, there were just 4 coffee cups, and I had no clue how this coffee cups appeared on this photo paper. But that gave me, wow, okay, I can kind of create things. I can, with the light bending and putting something in between, I have certain interactions, and I can start thinking how it like works more. What I also then did, I used the red light and started kind of, because I have the opportunity to move my red light. It's on a long rope. So I could, like, in the red light, create the shadows that I want to see, like, already without using the right light. So I could learn to control a little bit what I have. I have kind of in the red light and the shadow a little bit the structures that might appear if I use the same position with the flashlight of the normal thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I just, like, this is how the image was then created, and I started digging more into it because, like, I figured out, okay, you can create still lifes. I went with other objects because also you can create kind of geometric landscapes. So I did many things, like also mountains, also similar to what Grant did with his photo paper, that you have these layers where kind of rectangular or stuff. I started also using that to create mountains, round objects to make a sun. So this is like what happened to me with this experimenting in this. I wanted actually something very different because I saw some luminograms by an artist, Mike Jackson, that completely kind of flashed me. And in the end, I found something for myself that maybe I like even much more for me, because I learned directly to play around and I can control it a little bit, even if it's quite uncontrollable. And I like to, I mean, it resembles in a certain way, it could be a black and white photograph, even of 4 coffee cups themselves. But it is abstract. This is what I like. So to create everyday scenery that I somehow have in my mind, or kind of as a memory, to recreate in a more abstract way by playing with light and objects. It's kind of also like a painting, but I would say like an abstract painting, which is very geometric.
We are so happy, Patrice, of having you here, because the last year you were the specialist in double exposure and film swap, and you are going to be in the festival next year talking about that, and now you're also working hard with this cameraless photography. You know, we are really happy that you keep evolving your thinking, you keep trying techniques all the time, you know. Your Instagram
that's
is
like, I really love it. That's the thing. I did some cyanotypes in between with like the cameraless, but I wanted to get more. I like to, as also someone said, to work with the hands, that something is involved, like really the tangible thing about it, that you have more possibilities to modify. This is like, I think I really like, when I do something, I really like to dive completely into it and get as much out of it as possible.
Okay, everyone can meet Patrice in the festival next July. He's going to do a lot of different things with his wife. He's going to explain a lot of things. They are going to be able to see it in the program. We have you in so many different things. Everyone is going to be happy to meet you here. We really love your green screen there.
By ourselves, like Chris Vera, she's the designer, so we painted it green, and then with a certain role, like it's all handmade.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, we're going to hear Titi Rohilla from India. We are okay with the time. We have 2 more. Just listen to Titi and Daniela, and then we can go to the other part. Thank you so much, Patrice.
Hey, thank you for this opportunity. And the photograph we have here for me is a combination of 2 techniques: cyanotype for snake skin and gum bichromate for the leaves. And so starting with the techniques, when I started doing gum bichromates, traditionally we go with CMYK schemes, but I started with RGB schemes, and sooner I realized we have freedom to experiment with colors and gum bichromate prints. So with that, cyanotypes gives us very sharp and detailed images. So using that, I worked on this concept, which is this image revolves around this idea of nature being more superior than any kind of technology or science. This pandemic made me realize this. So like it is like everything which is breathing right now, it is not gonna one day, someday. So the cyanotype, the color for snake skin gives the idea of it being detached from its living form, and the leaf, the yellow part, the texture, it gives the idea of it being dry and still in the living form. So with that, I layered them because nature is always the layering of history and all of that. Like we cannot see the clean slate with nature. We always be able to see something with the history. The history will always be connected. So here's a layering print of my series called Carnival of Life.
Amazing. And this is, you said cyanotype, and the gold thing, what is?
Gum bichromate.
Ah, okay. Someone was asking on the chat. Okay.
Yeah.
The result is amazing. You know, the colors and everything is amazing. Congratulations. We love this image, and we are really happy also having someone from India. We are really happy. Nice to see you.
Thanks.
Okay, we have the last one, Daniela Leon from the USA. Also, if you can explain this image, it would be amazing for closing this first part.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Daniela Leon, and I am a Bolivian visual artist, and I'm residing in Houston, Texas right now. And well, this image, I made it because during lockdown, I have a fear of death, and I'm always thinking about that. And I recently saw like the impact of like not seeing my close family and friends, and that eventually everyone around me is gonna disappear, and so I will, and so will I. And so I wanted to make like a physical object that would capture that at some point in time I had a connection with those people. So I came up with this idea one afternoon when I was playing with lumens, and I'm a beginner in these camera-less techniques. So I was just making lumens with some flowers, and then I remembered a photo that Laszlo Moholy-Nagy took a while back with the two hands going like this. And I thought of that image, and I asked my mom if we could layer our hands together like that, and then the result was this. So,
sorry.
And then, so I asked.
keep talking. Wait for a second.
So I asked everyone in my family, like my brothers, my dad, to do the other photographs with me, and it felt very ritualistic because. Well, we would take turns, so they would layer their hand first, and then I would layer my hand quickly, and we would do it for like 3 minutes, depending on how strong the light was. And then I would quickly scan it because I don't have a fixer. So I would scan it and then put it back in the black bag for the light-sensitive paper. And I think that makes the photograph more ephemeral because I don't know when I'll be able to fix or put it through the chemicals so I could actually preserve the image, but I think that adds onto the concept. And I actually want to expand this idea even more because I want to travel to Bolivia to eventually do it with my grandparents as well, you know, especially because they're really old. I want to do it with a lot of my close friends and just keep a record, you know, that I existed and these people existed too at the same time I did, and we had this connection. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
I think it's an amazing reflection and idea, you know, because this is something really abstract, but it's really talking about something real, you know. It's talking about the future, the time, our memories, what we are in this world. it looks like something abstract, but it's something really concrete, you know?
Yes, and I mean, death is something I really I really think about, and that's something that really terrifies me. So in a way, making this series is really, it really calms that fear for me. It really makes me more at peace with it, because it really terrifies me. And then the fact that I won't, I mean, I don't know, I could go on and on with this, but yeah.
No, but it's okay. It's amazing. Photography always is something therapeutical. You know, we have been talking about pandemics and new ways of being in the world. You know, the situation is affecting everyone, and it's great that you can find a way also with your art to keep thinking about this situation. Okay, thank you so much, Daniela, for being part of this. I'm really surprised and happy that you explained this. We are going back to see everyone, because you have like a context, you know, like an idea, general idea of what you are doing. This is not just technique, and this is something that we are start thinking this year that we want to talk about this for the next festival. The first year was the manifest. We need to have like a clear idea of how we are or who we are. But we are thinking for the next festival, the next idea that can guide a little bit. It's going to be a long summer camp of 5 days. The idea is why we are doing what we are doing. You know, the first year we were thinking about the techniques. Everyone knowing the techniques, teaching between each other all the techniques. But now we want to think why we are using these techniques. You know, how the technique can be used to say something, the meaning of our images. And as you said, Daniela, it was amazing to see your combination of idea and technique. And we are going to start thinking about this, and during the festival we are going to have several activities trying to have these kind of reflections about the meaning of what we are doing. I think these 15 people that were presenting, they were amazing. We are really surprised between this debate between abstract and concrete, and also the colors and black and white. I think the 9 selected artists by Mark, they are amazing, but these 15 more can show us clearly that, as Mark said, that we have 50, 60, 70, 80 people doing amazing things in this community. And it's a great time to know what others are doing, because we have a lot of inspiration from here. Okay, we are going to the second part of this meeting. We have 40-45 minutes. If we are just getting a little bit longer, don't worry, we can just stay. If you have to leave or something, you can just leave. We know that it can be long, but it's okay, we are staying till the end. What I want to ask you is, if you can, at the end of this meeting, if you really love someone from the festival, I mean from the meeting, someone that you say, I really love this artist, please share it on your Instagram stories or somewhere. Just share between each other what you are doing. You know, I was impressed by this and this. Okay, I'm going to share it, because we want all the community to know what we are doing. This can be an amazing and really easy way of sharing what we love. It doesn't matter that you tag the festival. That's not really important. The important is that you are sharing between yourself. And now the second part is going to be about that, about sharing. We have 9 people with 9 questions. We are going to go, now we are 74. We are going to go to 9 small groups. Okay, you have to be patient because I have to prepare this technically. It's going to be 1 minute. And then you are going to be in a room, and in that room, someone is going to have a question, okay? You are going to have time to 20 minutes to talk about this question, and someone, probably the one leading the small group, you have just to think what the debate was about, you know, little abstract or someone. And then in 20 minutes, we are going to come back here and we are going to give the voice to that 9 people to explain what was the debate of. Okay, it's a moment also to share closely with these other people. Okay, if you have any questions, just do it now, because when we are going out of this group, I think the chat is not working anymore. But don't worry, just stay like this. You are going to be invited to participate in a small group, accept it, and see you there. Just do what the leader of your group proposed. Okay? Thank you so much, and see you in 20-25 minutes. We love you all. Thank you so much, all the presenters. I'm going to try to put sessions. We have 9 sessions, 7 automatically manually. Okay. Okay, I have to check that we have someone in each group, okay? We have Patrice here. We need someone here. We have Justin Quinel somewhere. Justin, Clara. We miss you.
Hi.
We miss you, Justin. I can see you. Okay, I'm almost done with this. Okay. Okay. See you guys. See you in 25 minutes. Okay. Anyway, we are here again. Happy that you survived. We had a great time talking. I'm going to start fast. We have been talking about, okay, it was the same that we talked about, this thing about the technique and the content. I was talking, we were talking about this with Sophie and Hilde, and we have this feeling that they are like different moments when you are an artist. And obviously at the beginning, you really want to learn all the techniques. And you are like working hard for having the technique, but the content is obviously like in a second moment. The debate was about this, you know, and Hilde was talking about this, now I get lost. We were talking about this, and obviously it's like different moments when you are an artist. And I think that this is the story of the festival also. We start like a festival about techniques, and we are going to be in a festival to think more about the content. Okay, this was our debate. Someone else want to explain what you were debating? Gal, Astrid, Amit, or whatever of you can just put your audio and explain.
Yeah, I'll go.
Great.
Okay. Hi, I'm Amit, and I had a thoroughly lovely group, and our question was, as a cameraless photographer, do you experience limited opportunity to work within the realm of photography, and how do you approach the difficult task of getting your work seen by others? And we kind of first unpicked the question in a couple of ways, you know, the practicalities of showing your work as a cameraless photographer in the world, and we kind of discussed how the exposure has increased in just the Venice Biennale. Now there were big cyanotype prints up in a room, you know. Now it's kind of feels like there is a move towards this type of photography being appreciated, being brung into the conversation, being celebrated. And I guess that was the really interesting thing about it, was that this almost feels like the beginning of these conversations. What you, Pablo and Laura, have done by bringing a group of these people together in this same art form means that this is just the beginning of the conversation. It felt very much in that room, everybody was getting to share what they thought. And so again, we had people discussing that museums are becoming a bit more receptive to this as an art form, but this is still being battled against the idea of when you have open calls for art, it's always visual media and photography. It always feels like a very separate thing, where it should be incorporated more into the general sense of what fine art is. And Instagram, we moved on to Instagram and the ability to kind of, you know, it was Daniela who put it really well, who said that, you know, when you put up these works where you spend lots of time developing this and its process and it's one-off, and you put it up against a very hyper-visual medium like Instagram, it feels like your work is almost undone, all your hard work. And maybe there is a need for a space that is much more about the appreciation of this particular type of slower media, you know, this type of slower kind of format of work, and allowing for that discussion. And then there was the idea that we definitely needed longer than 20 minutes to talk, and
Sure.
we need more conversations, more regularity in the conversation, so we can kind of share these ideas between us and, you know, figure out ways in which we can do this. But positive is, it feels generally people are more receptive to cameraless photography, as this entire thing is a testament to. So
Sure.
I hope I did the group justice there by sharing as much as we can. But yeah.
Great. No, it's good to know that they have the feeling that this is getting open and the debate is starting. We are just putting this small amount of time because we don't have more time, but it's great that now we are just trying to find the community, and it's great. That's why we are doing the festival the whole week. We have 5 days, and during the festival you have enough time to get drunk and also to talk about things, you know. And this is something good. During the festival we have five days. This was just a way of that everyone realized that we need this moment, you know. We really need this situation. Okay, someone else want to explain what happened in the group?
I can go.
Who are you? I can see
who
you.
are you? I'm Tony. Hello, here.
Tony. Great.
We were in a group with Juanissimo, Justin, Sandrine, and Flora.
Great.
Sandrine, if I'm pronouncing well. And to have a resume, well, the question was describe and discuss how you began to experiment with cameraless photography and the techniques that you use. Being brief, we had pasta, photography, and fun during the meeting. And we made an analogy that the situation, we made an analogy between the situation that we are living right now and experimental photography and cameraless photography, about that you can have intentions, but you can predict where we go. And it's about playing with uncertainty, like we are now living. So we don't know what's going to be next. So it's like never get bored and playing, basically. So,
do you think that experimental photographers are better prepared for a pandemic than normal people?
Potentially, I think so. Because you are more used to do things like that you do not expect. So I guess that's one of the things that you have.
It's good to know.
Than me, for example.
Our future is going to be better if we are experimental photographers. This is the conclusion. Okay, thank you so much, Tony. For sure, you enjoy a lot that group.
Yeah.
Someone else want to explain what you debate? Astrid?
Hello. Yes.
Hi.
Hello. Yeah.
Nice to see you.
So, yeah, you too. I love your jacket, Pablo.
Thank you. It's not mine. It's from Aida. It's from Aida. She's our specialist in the exhibitions. She's the girl doing the exhibitions during the festival, and I just took it from her.
Just to be brief, I was with a group with Gustavo and Megan,
Yes.
and our group was about inspiration. And the question was, where do you find inspiration for your work? And do you find that your practice more commonly begins with research and ends with a process, or vice versa? So I think that the inspiration for all of us three, you know, when we were talking, is about other photographers, but also about cinema. Megan was talking about the storybooks, about nature. So at the end, inspiration is everywhere, and I think that we also agree that, of course, inspiration was today, this meeting, because we have seen so much work and so much new ideas and technique that it was very, very inspiring. And to finish also about what you were saying, Pablo, experimental photography is a lot about processes and a lot about techniques, but it's also about ideas, no? And about message that you want to show, and emotions. And as for example, I remember well the work of Daniela, that when she was showing the picture with the hands. And so okay, you can find your work in technique, you can find it in ideas. So the process is important, but the research and the idea also. And just to finish, I will take the point of Megan. She gives a phrase of a philosopher, Flussard, and the words are, "Find your freedom in photography without cameras." And I think that it's the perfect phrase to summarize today.
Yes. Amazing. Okay, you have fun. You have content, fun, and sharing and knowing each other. Great. Thank you so much, Astrid, for your work, and also to that group. That question was hard, but I think you find a great way to solve it. Do we have someone else who want to show? Gal, do you want to talk about it?
We also had a very difficult question. You asked about Cartier-Bresson's book and idea of the decisive moment, because when you have a camera, you choose a moment, no? You take
okay, yes, the Cartier-Bresson idea of the decisive moment, yes. Okay.
And in my group, there was very lovely people that had a lot of ideas about it, but it's a very hard question, no? Because with the cameraless technique, there is no shutter, or there is no decisive moment per se, and you kind of have a different process where you choose like the exact times that you want, or not so exact. And there's also a different difference of like the decisions that you make and the spontaneous decisions that you take during the process, and that sometimes you don't have that control. You have a lack of control. Like, for example, with the colors, sometimes you get some colors, sometimes you don't, or you get different, and it's a very instinctive process. And Andrew also told us about the moment where they invented like 35mm cameras, more handheld, that you can take on the street, and around that time you could get a more decisive, precise moment where you take the photo.
Yes. Okay, great. That's amazing. Someone else? We have Patrice waiting. The green guy.
Okay.
It's you. Come
on. No, we also had a very lovely group, and honestly, I found the question, or it actually consisted of two questions, relatively deep somehow for myself. I will just tell you the questions. It's like, do cameraless techniques reflect a nostalgic desire to rediscover the process of the first photographic practitioners? This was the first part. And the second question, or do they represent a modern and pioneering reimagination of the photographic method? So it can go quite deep somehow. That's also why I started giving the group my imagination that I had. So just let my mind flow. And it came out somehow that we answered in the group that basically it's neither of the two, because the whole cameraless technique and the process is something very personal. So everyone makes it like for themselves. Like we figured this out. It's not like a nostalgic desire necessarily for the for the old photographic process. It's more like a curious desire. It's out of curiosity, not of nostalgia, because maybe not everyone is so familiar with this old process, so they can't be nostalgic about, oh yeah, there were these beautiful things, I really want to do that, it's so sad. It's more like, oh, there's something amazing that you can do. So we figured out it's more than bit curiosity. And then also we came to the fact that, yeah, maybe that the use of it nowadays do represent more of a modern reimagination of this whole method. How to say? Because I mean, it's really hard to invent new cameraless photography. Of course, there are some options that we also found out in the group discussion about kind of lensless digital photography, which is kind of coming to it. We talked about it, but yeah, it was, how to say, it was, everyone talked about their personal interaction with this process. Why I think it is kind of, as I would conclude, yeah, it's like the reimagination of it, and everyone makes this reimagination for themselves. What also came up to us is very interesting, that people see it as a meditation. Each one of us had the feeling that actually cameraless photography is not just to work with the material and experiment with this itself as creating the unique object. It's also actually you work a lot with yourself in this moment. So you lose yourself in this opportunity of being like cameraless and have just light, photo paper, and or like whatever surface or and the moment. So it's something very, very basic and unique. That is yeah, what we came up with.
Great. We want to say thanks to Mark and George, our specialists, that they did the questions. Okay, I didn't did them because I don't know a lot about cameraless. They help us with the questions, and I think they are amazing because the debate that you had, all the debates that we are talking now, they were amazing. I hope everyone was able to talk. We just tried to do small groups for everyone to talk. It's great. I think we had great time. I need more people talking. We have George and Mark to explain what you debate.
I can go. Come.
Who are you?
I am George.
George. Hi, George. Come on.
So our question was regarding whether cameraless techniques bring with them a sense of sort of expressive and creative freedom, given that you have the power to generate an image rather than with a camera to imitate something that you've seen, and sort of how that would affect the creative process. And we sort of opened the discussion by talking about how that is to an extent freeing, but it can't be unbounded. And Grant was mentioning that there must be some limitation. There must, whether that's a limitation of the materials you use or the process you're using or the method. In order to make something, there needs to be both. There needs to be the order and the chaos to sort of form the directed outcome. And our discussion sort of then moved on into really finding out what each person found as their creative freedom. And we talked about certain things like freedom in the potential to choose the correct method of communication for the message that you want to send with your art. You know, that's where the freedom lies. It's being able to decide to use mixed media or a photography if it's the purest way to express the message that you want to give. People were talking about experimentation and freedom in just using as many different techniques as possible and using as many different versions of a piece in order to make that. And we also sort of struggled but found success because there were 6 of us in the group and 4 Spanish speakers. And so we sort of just found ourselves in a conversation that was going on in partial English and partial Spanish with translations. But if anything, that kind of serves to form a nice metaphor for what we were doing, because we're talking about art and the freedom of communication. And yes, there were limits placed on our language being able to do that, but hopefully the images or the sculptures or the things that we make will transcend that in some way. And I think that's kind of the the message I was taking from is that everybody was very willing to try and translate and bring everybody in, and it had a very nice sense of everybody trying to make the best of it, and hopefully that's what we leave.
Yes, we are going to have a big community because everyone wants to make an effort, to understand the others, and that's really helpful all the time. Okay, don't forget, we have 2 more people speaking, and then we have just to say goodbye because it's too long and people is tired. Just remember to share other experimental photographers in your Instagram for everyone to know more about this technique. And also, if you want to buy the catalog of the last year festival, it would be amazing if you want to come in July. Hope everyone is going to be here. Please listen to Mark. That was the curator of the exhibition. Mark, tell us, how was your debate?
Yeah, we had an interesting group. It was a good mix. We had different geographical places. We had, I think, 2 former students, 2 lecturers. So a good mix, and older generation, younger generation. Yeah, so that was really good. I love the fact that somebody else mentioned earlier about Flusser, because I'm a big fan of Willem Flusser's writings, and because he talks about the camera and that the camera programs us, and that really the camera is part of a power structure, and the only way to really rebel against this is to discard the camera, and I think that's what we're doing here. So we're all rebels. We're all this could be the start of the revolution.
Yes.
But anyway, our question was, are contemporary analog cameraless processes a reaction to the digital? Are they in opposition to one another, or are they all part of the same thing? So we talked about what we think and feel about using digital, because I think there is this sense that digital is a little bit too perfect, and you lose some of what you get with the analog is that you get the mistakes that you don't seem to get with digital in the same way. You can get a digital glitch, but a sort of an analog mistake can quite often lead to something quite beautiful. And I think, we all play around and experiment a bit, and quite often the mistakes are where it gets really interesting, and that's what leads to something a little bit unexpected. And it's part of the fun as well, isn't it? It's what that sort of mistake that comes good, So we talked about how we use digital, or if at all. I think most of us use digital because certainly we put things on to Instagram, so digital is part of the process at some point. Dan talked about how, because he's grew up with analog, so for him I think sort of digital is the alternative. So he's sort of back to front, where some people think of alternative photography being analog, where digital is like the alternative for him. And he also told us that, about this amazing project where he's taken images, I think it was with his students, on mobile phones, and projected them and done really large prints. So they've gone from the sort of the digital screen, been projected through a lens and into these really, really large prints. So it's sort of, all part of one process. And I think that was the overall feeling that, there is no real difference between the digital and analog. We're all part of the tools. It's part of our toolkit as photographers. That's what we use. We can use either or both, or however we like. So I think, sort of the answer to the question was that, there is no real difference. We're being artists, we do what we like, we're not restricted.
Yes, and also it's interesting, this debate about analog and digital, because it's the same, everyone, we met each other on Instagram, if you're against digital, it's weird. And if you're against analog, also it's weird, it's a contradiction. We have to live without this situation that analog or online and offline things are happening all the time. They are not split one thing from the other. We have to change our way of seeing things, because the future is not one thing or the other. The future is a mix of everything. And we are going to try to do also the festival of the next year, also a mix between online and offline, for everyone in the world also to be able to come somehow and to participate with us. Okay, we are going to finish this event, this meeting that we are so happy that everyone is here with Laura Ligari. She was the last one. She's the last one, and she's also the co-director of the festival. We are really happy to listen to her.
Thank you, Pablo. Yes, the group was really fun because we were 4 and everyone was from somewhere else. We have Irina that she couldn't stay, she left from Los Angeles, Ariana from Argentina, Rosario, and Javier from Castellón, Spain. And I am the worst moderator and I had to translate between them in English and Spanish all the time. But I tried to do my best. And the question was, when making your work, do you find that your process is often more akin to techniques of painting? And in which case do you consider your work to be accurately defined as photography? Which it was a bit difficult to answer because all of them were using many different techniques of cameraless. And from the group, we found that mainly chemigram is a technique that, yes, can be considered painting sometimes. But yeah, as we were saying that in the end, photography is the word itself. It means drawing with lights. So we are always doing something like to make an image. And it depends on how the person feels. It's very personal, as Patrice was saying, like each artist can question himself of what he's doing, if it's an image or if it's a painting, I think they will decide it anyway. It was really interesting and they do amazing things and a lot of techniques that I couldn't even imagine. So it was really, really interesting group.
Amazing. Okay, we are really happy that you were here. We had 80 people in one point. We are 40 now from saying goodbye. It was amazing. I think this is this gives us the idea that we really need to get each other, you know. It's not the best way because online things, we are all the time with our computers, but at least we just need this moment of having new inspiration, connecting with other people. And that's great. If you can share the artists of other people is going to share your art, and we are going to have a stronger community. Thank you so much to Mark and George for being part of this activity. Mark for the hard work of selecting all the 9 artists.
From 170.
And also George that is coming to the festival for doing the workshops. If you want to participate in the festival, the registrations are open, and probably in 2 weeks, you are going to be able to buy the workshops and also to select the workshop that you want to do. Hope to see you here. And if not, just see you on internet. Keep going, sharing and talking with everyone, because now we are in a hard moment of our lives, but we are going to go through this all together. Okay, this is our message, and that's why we think it's really important, this kind of activities. We are going to keep going with the online exhibitions. Tomorrow, we are starting with the pinhole and solarigraphy. If you have works with that techniques, also you can share, and we are going to try to do a meeting also about it. Okay, thank you to everyone. Just keep in touch, have fun, and have a good weekend. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Have
Bye,
fun.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.